There is something buried beneath our feet that no known civilization has dared to claim as its own. On every continent, archaeologists have found underground structures with characteristics that should have been impossible for the era in which they were excavated. Polished walls with perfect angles, symmetrical chambers that repeat in patterns impossible to replicate without precision instrumentation. No tools were found at the site, no construction records, no culture claims authorship. The silence surrounding these structures is not accidental, it is systematic. The first time structures of this kind were catalogued seriously was in the 19th century, in regions that today make up southern Europe. Excavations in Cappadocia revealed an entire city carved in volcanic rock, capable of housing more than 20,000 people at 30 meters depth. But what disturbed researchers was not the size, it was the engineering. Vertical ventilation systems up to 8 stories deep, still functional today, with no explanation of how they were drilled with such precision. The copper and stone tools found nearby would not have been capable of producing those surfaces. Physics does not allow it. This is not speculation. It is what the official archaeological reports themselves record, and then stop investigating. Turkey is not an isolated case. Prehistoric Malta holds hypogeal temples that were excavated before the wheel was even invented. The Hypogeum of Hal-Saflieni have chambers that function as perfect acoustic resonance chambers. The sound produced inside them propagates in a way impossible for a random construction. Modern architects tried to replicate the acoustics. They failed. With contemporary technology, they failed. This means that whoever built it knew exactly what they were doing, and knew it at a level we have not yet reached. In India, the temples of Ellora were carved top-down, not built bottom-up, a process that requires total planning before the first strike. Any miscalculation at the start would render the entire structure unusable, and there are no visible errors. It is estimated that 240,000 cubic meters of rock were removed. The destination of that material has never been found. 240,000 cubic meters of rock simply vanished. Meanwhile, in Peru, beneath the Andean Altiplano, networks of tunnels connect sites dozens of kilometers apart. Local populations call them Chicanas. Official science catalogs them, and then changes the subject. Speleologists who tried to map these networks reported structures that changed direction deliberately, as if designed to confuse anyone who did not know the path. A functional labyrinth carved in rock, with no map, no signage, no identifiable orientation marking. In Egypt, beneath the Giza Plateau, independent researchers documented seismic anomalies suggesting unexcavated chambers at considerable depths. The Egyptian government banned further excavations in that area in 1993. The ban has never been lifted. What exists beneath Giza that cannot be seen? The question is not rhetorical. It is the title of an article published in the Journal of Archaeological Science in 2008. Science asked the question, and then fell silent. In China, the city of Longyu contains artificial chambers 40 meters high, completely smooth, carved in sandstone, and they were not mentioned in any Chinese historical record until they were rediscovered by a farmer in 1992. 40 meters high, walls with parallel grooves at 60-degree angles, identical pattern in all 24 known chambers. 24 chambers with the same millimetric pattern, executed by whom, for what purpose, in what era? None of the 3 questions has an officially accepted answer. What unites all these structures, from Turkey to Peru, from Malta to China, is not culture, it is competence. A competence that appears, produces, and disappears, without leaving a school, without leaving an identifiable technical lineage. Geologists who analyzed the cut marks on some of these structures identified patterns consistent with high-speed rotary tools. High-speed rotary tools in cultures that, according to historical consensus, did not have the wheel. This is not an alternative theory, it is in the reports that no one cites in official summaries. In 1989, a Japanese diver named Kihachiro Aratake found something that would silently change the debate on underwater architecture. 30 meters beneath the waters of Yonaguni, Japan, he found steps, perfectly carved steps, in submarine rock. Horizontal platforms, vertical walls, 90-degree angles, at 30 meters depth. The scientific debate over whether it is natural or artificial continues to this day. What is not debated is the geometry. It exists.
If it is artificial, it was built when sea level was 30 meters lower, which takes us back at least 10,000 years. 10,000 years before any civilization we consider advanced. And that is precisely why the debate stops where it stops. There is a documented pattern of how academia handles discoveries that challenge the established chronology. First, ignore. Second, contest methodology. Third, fund a second study with a different conclusion. Fourth, archive. It is not conspiracy, it is the bureaucracy of knowledge, and it works just as well as any stone structure. The researchers who persist in these investigations are not fringe figures. They are engineers, geologists, architects, with publications in peer-reviewed journals. What sets them apart is not the quality of their work, it is the willingness to follow the evidence wherever it leads. And where the evidence leads is uncomfortable. Because if these structures are as old as the geology suggests, then some form of sophisticated human organization existed much earlier than we believe. And if it existed and disappeared, then the idea that progress is linear and irreversible is simply false. Civilizations can regress, they can be extinguished, they can leave behind only stone. The stone does not lie, but it does not explain either. In 2014, a team of researchers from the University of Ljubljana published seismic analyses of the subsoil of Vaskoso in Bosnia. They found regular structures 15 meters deep beneath hills that had until then been considered natural formations. Hills with 45-degree angles on four faces, oriented to the cardinal points with less than 1 degree of deviation. Nature does not do that. Erosion does not do that. Ice does not do that. And beneath those hills, blocks of ancient concrete, with compressive strength superior to modern concrete, were found in core samples. Concrete, more resistant than ours, buried at 15 meters, with no civilization to claim it. The official archaeological community rejected the findings without conducting their own excavations at the site. Rejected without excavating. That is the part that needs to be stated clearly. Let us return to Turkey, because Göbekli Tepe changed everything, and yet changed nothing. 12,000 years old, 6-ton monoliths, built by hunter-gatherers according to official consensus. Hunter-gatherers without ceramics, without metallurgy, without writing, who produced bas-relief sculpture of extraordinary artistic precision on 6-ton limestone blocks. And then, for reasons that have never been fully explained, they deliberately buried everything. They buried their own monuments, carefully, methodically, as if they knew they needed to preserve something for later. For after what? For whom? That question has no official answer. It has only the fact. And the fact is that someone 12,000 years ago knew it was worth preserving and acted to ensure it would last. What else is buried, waiting for the right moment? That question takes us back to the beginning, to the systematic silence that surrounds all these structures. Because the problem is not only what we do not know, it is what we choose not to investigate. There are authorized, funded, and published excavations that identified significant structural anomalies, whose authors simply did not receive continued funding. Funding is the most efficient instrument of knowledge control ever invented. More efficient than censorship, more efficient than prohibition. All it takes is not renewing. And meanwhile, the stone remains, indifferent, patient, absolutely indifferent to our inability to explain it. There is one last structure that must be mentioned, not for its scale, for its location. Beneath Antarctica, ground-penetrating radar recordings made by scientific expeditions identified regular structures kilometers beneath the ice. Regular structures. It is not geological formation. Geological regularity has limits. These exceed those limits. Antarctica was free of ice during earlier periods of Earth's geological history. That is established fact. What lived there during those periods is a completely open question. And what was built there, if anything was built, now lies kilometers beneath the ice, preserved at constant temperature. Preserved, as if buried with intent. We always return to the same word, intention. Because everything we have seen today, from Malta to Japan, from Bosnia to Antarctica, requires intention to exist. Intention presupposes consciousness. Consciousness presupposes organization. Organization presupposes civilization. And civilization presupposes history, a history we do not have. What we do with this gap depends on how much uncertainty we are willing to tolerate. The most honest science is that which names what it does not know. And what we do not know about who built these structures is at this moment greater than everything we know. But the stone is still there. And it will not disappear while we wait to find the courage to ask again.